Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Three with the SME conversation focused on improving global trade management using the solutions in the MercuryGate smart transportation platform. Today, we're talking with a couple of MercuryGate subject matter experts in global trade management technology, and it's a fairly casual conversation that's designed to help you quickly get the information you need about this important topic. My name is Michael Willard, and before we get started, here's a couple of quick housekeeping items I want to talk about. This session's recorded and we're making it available on demand so you can stop, start, rewind, and watch at your convenience. And please just take a moment to see the related content that we provided there in the On24 presentation panel. You can download these deliverables to take a deeper dive into this topic and our MercuryGate solutions. Today's Three with the SME session was based on questions submitted by our followers on LinkedIn. But if you've got additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. You can email our presenters directly. Just click the email link under their name and credentials that you see there in the On24 platform. Also, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and be on the lookout for future events. We created this Three with the SME series to field the questions on the top of your mind. With your help, every episode can address the technology questions most important to you. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, again, using that link that you see in the related content that we provided in the On24 viewer. With that out of the way, let's introduce today's subject matter experts. Don Mabry is MercuryGate Senior Vice President of Global Trade Solutions. He's got more than 25 years of success in delivering customer value creation through the design, implementation, and operation of enterprise supply chain management applications. Scott Rockhour is a MercuryGate Vice President of Product Development. He joined the MercuryGate team following the acquisition of International Trade Systems last year. We'll call it ITS throughout the course of this webinar. And Scott's an expert in technology applications that support global trade management. In fact, he's been providing recommendations and input to U.S. Customs and Border Protection for nearly 30 years. Again, I'm Michael Willard, a marketing strategy for MercuryGate and host of our Three with the SME conversation series. Gentlemen, I'm going to jump right into the first topic, MercuryGate and global trade. And Don, maybe you can explain, why is MercuryGate's expansion into the customs brokerage and trade compliance space so important to you?
Well, Michael, MercuryGate's expansion into customs brokerage and trade compliance provides a holistic offering across the global trade management space. You know, Gartner's Guide to Global Trade outlines three core pillars of global trade management: international logistics, trade compliance, and trade finance, where we now satisfy the first pillar with our international TMS providing shipment management, shipment execution, and carrier management. The acquisition of ClearTrack last year added products with a supply chain focused on the first miles, which is that space beginning before the product even starts to move, such as with global sourcing of goods, international shipment and order visibility, as well as order compliance. Now with the addition of ITS, we are further satisfying a new set of global trade management use cases in the second major pillar of global trade management, specifically trade compliance, where we're supporting a broader set of solutions providing U.S. customs clearance, import logistics, and export logistics solutions that over time will become more integrated and compelling to our customers and the marketplace.
Okay, so Scott, how do you integrate these various pieces together in the MercuryGate smart transportation platform?
Hey, Michael. Well, if you look at the global supply chain as a big puzzle, all of these software modules just simply act as pieces. The goal, not today, because we were just acquired, is to have one connected platform for the entire puzzle. As Don mentioned before, the first mile is mostly solved with ClearTrack, but there's a component called ISF, or importer security filing, that must be done prior to the container loading for vessel shipments. And prior to final mile, the goods must clear customs and various agents. These were the missing pieces of the puzzle that MercuryGate now has access to.
Okay, well, Don, how does this expansion allow new and existing customers to benefit from MercuryGate?
Take research and development, for example. MercuryGate's always looking at emerging technologies that are appropriate for the industries and types of businesses we serve. But we vet them first to make sure they have meaningful utility and value before we bring them to bear. An important part of this process is to ensure we confirm the operating efficiencies, and the usability we expect that then drives the value and utility for our customers.
Yeah, Don, being part of two small businesses before MercuryGate, in order to integrate, with these third parties, you need to make both quantitative and monetary, agreements, which means you may need to sign contracts and guaranteed minimums. It then becomes a cost value proposition, which becomes a business decision as to whether we're going to offer these things or not. Having MercuryGate as the backbone here, they already have existing contracts with many of the same third parties. And them being a much larger company than ITS, we could actually dictate the terms instead of the terms being dictated to us. In addition, everyone benefits because you typically get better rates with volumes. So having many TMS, ClearTrack, and other customers tracking containers, adding ITS customers will just be adding fuel to the fire, which means higher volume, lower cost for everyone.
Well, that's interesting, Scott. Maybe cite an example of that for our audience.
So MercuryGate has a connection for container tracking, whether it's ocean, air, or rail. And the pricing matrix is structured so that the more containers that are tracked, the price per container goes down. So adding all of these containers to an already, pipeline that we have, it just makes the price per container decrease. Everyone benefits.
Okay, well, that's a good explanation. I want to move on to some of the capabilities here, particularly related to the cloud. And I know that for custom compliance operations, how and where your software data is hosted is really important. And maybe, Don, you could share some business advantages of hosting customs compliance software, data, and connectivity specifically in the cloud.
Cloud-delivered software, also known as software as a service, it typically offers several key business advantages over an on-premise system, including things like cost efficiency, where you have reduced upfront costs because there's no need for significant upfront investment in hardware and infrastructure. And you have predictable expenses that are established with subscription-based pricing models that make expenses very predictable and include additional services like maintenance and updates. And finally, you can make a positive environmental impact through reduced energy consumption, where cloud providers optimize their data centers for energy efficiency, which can be more environmentally friendly compared to traditional data centers. By leveraging these advantages, businesses who select an enterprise-grade, cloud-delivered customs and trade compliance provider like MercuryGate can improve efficiency, reduce costs, and enhance their ability to innovate and compete in their respective markets.
Yeah, Don, having delivered systems, on-site systems, customers are definitely lax in installing updates, verifying their backups, renewing hardware contracts, and the like. This takes all of those activities out of their hands.
Yeah, those certainly seem like some good reasons to have a cloud system. But, are there any negatives to having that cloud environment?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's pros and cons to every aspect of life, right? The biggest concern is everything is done through the internet, right? So while we ensure that our internet is up, almost 100% of the time, it's your internet that you need to be concerned about.
Yeah. What if I live out in the sticks, Scott? What if my internet is down?
Well, back to the best practices, right? Get a backup internet. If you don't have that, we're back to the pros of being in the cloud. Work from home, library, go to a friend's house, fire up your phone as a hotspot. And in a pinch, listen, we offer loading data from various sources. You could actually key data into a spreadsheet and then load the spreadsheet once the system is back up. So there are plenty of options out there if you're creative.
Okay. And certainly we are creative. Scott, maybe as you continue, talk about what are some other technology and infrastructure advantages of operating in a cloud environment?
So those cloud providers handle updates to the firewalls, right? So everybody needs a firewall to restrict access, operating systems. It ensures users have always the latest features and security patches and the like. So this results in overall reduced IT burden on those companies. They're freed from those tasks of maintaining and upgrading the software. Not the software for our application, the software for, infrastructure. Then there's the reliability and performance aspect. Azure and AWS offer high volumes with stringent service level agreements, plus robust disaster recovery solutions. These are a significant advantage over legacy on-site approaches. Remember, cloud infrastructure is also designed to handle large workloads efficiently. There's also scalability, flexibility, right? Resources can be scaled up or down based on demand, allowing businesses to adapt quickly to their changing needs. User access, the software from, you could access the software from anywhere with an internet connection. We talked about that before. And this gives the businesses the ability to actually promote remote work and global collaboration.
Okay, well, while we're talking about hotspots, let's talk about cybersecurity. And I know that's a topic on a lot of folks' minds. Don, what role does the cloud play in fortifying an organization's cybersecurity? And more importantly, how is that protecting our customers' cybersecurity expectations?
Well, this topic is undoubtedly keeping many executives up at night with lesser infrastructures, where cloud providers like MercuryGate invest heavily in security technologies and practices, often offering better protection than most organizations can achieve on their own, backed by industry compliance certifications helping businesses meet their compliance requirements, both internally and with their customers. MercuryGate's customs and trade compliance is ISO IEC 27001 certified, the world's best known standard for information security management systems, where we take a holistic approach to information security, vetting people, policies, and technology to deliver our solutions.
Don, I want to jump in here. I know firsthand that doing this ISO certification, there's no way any small software provider can claim that they have this. This is a time-consuming, expensive, and if you do not have the right team in place, it will never happen.
Yeah, that's great information. A good call out there, Scott. Let's talk a little bit more about MercuryGate's solution capabilities and start with accuracy. Don, how does a technology system like MercuryGate's customs compliance solution improve the accuracy and integrity of information that's so vital to customs filings, where maintaining operating efficiency is really important to the business?
The amount of information that's being created and managed across the customs compliance industry is increasing at an alarming rate. It's driven by things like macroeconomic factors. The complexity is also increasing, and it's making it more difficult to manage. And you need tools to be able to help to stay abreast of these demands across things like frequent changes to the harmonized systems codes and PGA regulations, expanding data requirements across a large and diverse regulatory community. Stakeholders' expectations in the customs compliance industry, whether it be customs brokerage or even a self-filer, stand to benefit greatly from improving collaboration responsiveness with filing authorities and with on-demand send and receive versus a legacy system that relies typically on things like dated batch and queue techniques that have avoidable delays. Cloud-delivered solutions offer modern user interface features, greatly improving the user experience and the richness of decision support from the information that's presented.
Hey, Don, you mentioned PGAs. I just want to, if my son and son-in-law are listening, that does not mean Professional Golfing Association. That means partner government agencies like the FDA, EPA, NHTSA, USD, and alike, who share data with U.S. Customs. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is going to become one of those PGAs, and it will mandate additional data that a broker most likely has never seen before. In addition, while the importer is typically responsible for data integrity, the certification for CPSC is handled by mostly laboratories. Take a child's toy as an example. This may require both a certificate of performance and a certificate of conformance. ClearTrack can integrate with the labs as part of the first mile, and in turn can then send that data to the customs broker. This is a real good example of why MercuryGate chose to add ITS to their suite of global trade management solutions.
Yeah, that's a lot of effective integration opportunities there. And Scott, what are some key features that a customs brokerage operation should expect in a modern solution platform outside some of these integration points?
Good question, Michael. A modern system should have a clean and intuitive user interface, while at the same time provide validation rules and anomaly notifications. The ability to manage files or entries by exception based on mode of transportation and user should be at the top of the list. Who cares if a shipment was delivered, right? We only log into UPS to find out where the heck it is, right? The ability to have different views based on what the user does is key. A workflow for post-summary compliance manager will be very different from an entry writer.
Okay, and I know we've been talking a lot about imports and the customs brokerage capabilities, but I also know that ITS has solutions that are purpose built to support compliance requirements for the export of goods that are leaving the United States. Scott, maybe take a moment and describe the ITS export logistics solution.
Yeah, sure. So the export module enables freight forwarders to process export shipments going outside of the US, right? Including consolidations, quotes, pickup orders, weights and volume conversions, and calculations. For air shipments, it supports the creation and printing of airway bills, labels, pre-alerts, and other required forms. For ocean, land, and rail shipments, it's much more of the same forms and processes geared to those modes of transportation. Export management is integrated with an automated export system via MQEDI, providing data to be entered into one system. So you don't have to log out of one, log into AES Direct, it's all handled together. And then when it's purchased together, it provides a unified single system approach to the organization's import and export operations. And when I say purchased together, I mean if you have the brokerage, you have the deconsolidation, you have the export platform, it's all one look and feel.
Okay, so while we're talking about features, Scott, are there any particularly unique techniques or features that come to your mind that offer additional value and utility, again, for those customs brokers operating in today's sort of volatile environment?
Yeah, so I would say for techniques, having a native web application makes it ideal for being able to export data directly to your network. When you click on the export to Excel, it just drops it in your downloads folder. So it's a one-click shop, right? So doing this with on-site based systems or non-web systems, it's a challenge. All of our dashboards have the ability to export to a CSV. And again, like I said, it's basically that one-click process. As for features, we're going to be unveiling our new anti-dumping countervailing dashboard. So determining whether anti-dumping or countervailing duty applies is a challenge, right? If the first query CBP system by a case or a country, then you need to wait for a response. With this new process, we have automated queries daily that will pull case data in, and then basically it'll notify you if a case applies based on tariff, country, and date. So having that integration to customs and cloud real time, almost getting the data back from customs is super key.
Okay, well, that's a lot of great information, gentlemen. A real deep dive here into the start of our conversation. Unfortunately, we're at the end of our allocated time, but again, we aren't at the end of our conversation. Today we talked about how and why MercuryGate's expanding our global trade capabilities through the acquisition of first ClearTrack and more recently the acquisition of ITS, which, as we've talked about, brought import compliance solutions into our smart transportation platform. These solutions facilitate an effective move to cloud-based technology, which, again, as we discussed, can be more effective in our modern world than any on-premise software solution. Finally, we also discussed some of the specific solution capabilities that MercuryGate offers customs brokers, self-filing importers, and other global trade parties focused on bringing products into the United States. We've got more insights to share with you about how MercuryGate's improving global trade management for our users. We want you to join us Wednesday, July 24th at 3 p.m. as we continue our conversation on this topic. You can go ahead and register for that part 2 of this call. Just click the link in the related content area of our On24 webinar viewer. And during part 2 of the conversation, we discuss the differentiators between MercuryGate's solution and some of the others that are available in the marketplace. We'll also discuss what's involved with implementing the MercuryGate solutions and how our experts expect global trade capabilities to continue evolving to meet the changing needs for the future. Don, Scott, thanks very much for introducing this topic to our audience and for sharing some of your time with us today.
Welcome.
A quick reminder to our audience, you can connect with Scott and Don using the email links under their name and the credentials in their On24 webinar viewer. Also, as you can see on our screen, we provide regular transportation industry updates in our Knowledge Center. That's where you find the MercuryGate blog. It's updated weekly with topics focused on helping you achieve smart transportation across your supply chain. Just last month, we had a blog about those PGAs, not the Professional Golf Association, the partner government agencies that Scott defined. And you can find our Knowledge Center at MercuryGate.com and access all our materials, including the deliverables you see on our screen. Don't forget to follow MercuryGate International on LinkedIn. You get there when you click the LinkedIn logo you see in that webinar viewer near the bottom of the list of related content. This is a great way to stay informed about new content and events, including the future episodes of 3 with the SME. Again, that next episode, part 2 of our global trade conversation, is coming up on July 24th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars and register today. Until then, on behalf of Don Mabry, Scott Rockhour, and everyone at MercuryGate International, thank you for joining us for today's conversation.